Say that again?
Yeah.
Yeah, curry goat and rice, please.
What size, sir?
Large. That yard food, get me.
Me not.
Curry goat and rice.
Me not have that. Me not. Curry goat. Me not have that. And I smoked that. And me not have that. Curry chicken. Me not have that.
Sure. What do you think?
What they got?
Come on, hurry up now.
Just give me 2 batties.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does it every day just to remind himself.
Go to the subscribe button and hit that, and also go to the notification bell and hit that, so you can be updated for when I release new content.
What do you want to do? Do you want to try and hold that till Tuesday when we speak? But I think we're getting challenged on some of those venues because we've got them held but not confirmed.
Okay, well let's talk about it on Tuesday, make a decision on Tuesday about that.
Fair play. There's another couple of offers coming over actually. I think there might Benexy, which is a sick festival in Spain, coming over hopefully, and a couple of other bits I spoke to Brendan about earlier, so I'll just send them through as they come through formally.
Okay, cool. Cool, all good.
Cool, mate. Alright, well look, stay positive, mate.
Joking. Listen! My day always starts with conference calls, meetings, yard food. That is curry goat and rice. And so what time is it now? Getting to the studio about 2 o'clock. But it's all relative, it's all important. And I like doing it in the morning so I don't have to do it during the day, so now my phone will go off and I'll focus, I'll concentrate. This is actually quite a good subject matter. Musicians, producers, writers, we write songs years old. And I always find if you go back to them after a few years, you always find like little gems, or even it could be like a middle eight that you could use for a new song now, or even a full song. That's brilliant. Sometimes it depends on where your mind's at that moment in time, which is the reason why it doesn't come out, or why your team might not understand why it should come out, or people overlook a song. But I've actually discovered that if I go back in my vaults, like this computer is about 10 years old and I've got like songs from 6 years old, and some of them are absolutely fire in my opinion. So going back, I think is it's a useful exercise, because also when you were producing, remember we produced when you were mad young, right? Mad young, and there was no holds bar. You just produced. You just didn't care.
You weren't scared of anything.
Weren't scared of anything. You didn't care. You didn't have anyone to answer to. A lot of the songs that we did before, even before we were signed, there was no boss. We were the boss. There's still no boss now, but you kind of need to deliver songs to a label, your management or whatever. But going back to some of our old stuff, I'm realising we had more fun then than we do now sometimes, just because there's other things that get in the way of what's happening right now. It could be you're on tour, it could be signing deals, you could be being released from a deal. There's so many things that affect your current state of music. So when you go back and you listen to stuff that you did before you were signed or in the beginning stages, you often find some mad gems.
Flat when you can, mate. Yeah, cool. The eye's not back from collecting until about 8.
It's basically like one of the, Dave Smith makes it, right? And I've used it in some of the new projects I'm working on. I didn't realise there was such a massive difference between stuff in the stuff that's outboard gear.
Analog.
Yeah.
Analog.
Actual analog outboard and also the digital stuff. Like there's a huge difference. And even though like this is my first time really using any stuff that's not actually inside the box, and I noticed there's a much warmer sound to using stuff. And I thought that's just things people say because they're really nerdy, but actually there's a massive difference. There's a warmth to even like pads. Let me show you some of the pads that are one of my favourite plugins of all time, right? Made by Yuhi, which is Diva. And this is like it's like some of the sounds in there, like they're phenomenal. So all this stuff here, all these things that you can change. It's basically mapped out like this on here. But this is the real deal. So it's like all the original, and it gives it this authentic feel that stuff in the box doesn't have. I'm not sure if I'm going to be using much of the inbox stuff anymore because there's a weight to this stuff that stuff doesn't have. Yes, Prophet 6, I swear by it. I was going to get you Tesco's brand, but I ain't got none. Considering we're in Sainsbury's. It's been one of those days. One of those days where we got a lot done, right? This is the hub, by the way. This is where all the stuff goes down. This is where
the magic happens.
This is where the magic happens, both for the business side and also the musical side. I do all the productions in here, mostly if I'm not abroad. Otherwise it's all on the laptop, but mostly it's all in here. I'm going to start doing more day-to-day stuff for you guys so you can see exactly what day-to-day feels like. And you know what? It's not all roses. It's not all prim and proper. There are times where I want to rip my eyeballs out. Today is not one of those days because we got a lot done, didn't we?
Did indeed. Did a productive afternoon.
Productive afternoon. Dwayne's been on the editing stuff. Joe has been on the business stuff. And I've been on the musical stuff. And we just keep that going day in, day out. Now what am I trying to do? Well, this is the exciting part. This is why some days are good, some days are not so good. Some days are filled with a lot of junk that needs to get done. Building a company, built it actually, and it's called Outcry, and it's an entertainment company that has 3 divisions. It has a publishing arm, it has a label, and it has a media arm, media services arm. Now what does that entail? With the publishing, just signed my first client. As you see, if you scroll back to my Insta page, you'll see Kiris, and he's like the guy who I co-produced with Disciples as well, co-produced On My Mind with, and we're doing a lot of stuff with Psycho, who have signed people like Little Mix, all the X Factor people basically, and we're gearing up to create a project. Well, we have created a project together, which is a band. I'm going to keep that one a secret actually. I want to keep that bit on the low. I don't think I want to talk about that just yet, but it's that one, no, not yet, but that one's special. So the publishing and the label side go hand in hand. The reason why I'm telling you this is because I'm going to set up a dedicated email address where I want all writers and producers, if you're good, listen, don't send any rubbish. If you feel like you've got something that needs to be heard, whether it's a song or like one song that needs to be signed by a label, or if you're a writer and a producer and you want to be signed in terms of publishing, so we can find you opportunities to write and produce for other artists, whether they're established or just developing or on the come up. I want this company, and this company will represent the future. It will represent people who are frustrated because they know they have something, but they're getting turned down time in, time out. Now listen, I can't help everyone. As you know as well, if you DM me on Instagram and if you hit me up on Facebook and wherever else, even on YouTube, I always try and get back to you guys because I think that's important. The dedicated email address to send music to, no nudes, just music, is info@outcryent.co.uk. We'll put it somewhere below there. And I'll either, reply with feedback on it. And if I think you're really sick, I'll bring you in for a meeting and you can come and see where I do the dirt.